Hello everyone, welcome back to ThinkHub. I am Daksh Khandelwal, your host and host of this series Beyond the Headlines. And we will just start with this news South China Morning Post. But before that, I have just thought that from next videos, like from 4th of August videos, I thought I should bring the South China Morning Post news also, and also the Hindu news also, because this South China Morning Post mostly covers the news of China and America, and it does not include the India's news mostly. So what I thought is I should include the India news also. So I just use the Hindu newspaper front page and just tell you some important news and all, and describe you about that. So that's my thought. Let's see what will happen. I will just tell you in my next videos, and that's it. Today there are two newses that are making headlines today in artificial intelligence terms. And if there are this small news, this will come just end in within 2 minutes news. So we will just end this video very soon and just very light less time. And that's it. Let's get so without wasting any further time, let's get started with the intro. So the first news is basically that AI boom enters its nasty phase. What does it mean? That James David Spellman has just given his opinion that AI has entered a nasty phase. Means that the fast moving and volatile period, while when economic reality constant ambitious and markets separate winners from losers. So the winners they convert losers from winners. Sorry, they convert winners from losers. So basically, the capital expenditure has been taken boom in the US China competition, and I will show you the graph also that the competition, how competition is varied, and the recent earning releases the some illustrate an AI trade. Basically, there are some frenzy also in equality under the what we say in China. Moonshot AI just completed the funding that valued the company at about US dollar 35 billion. And while Byte, you can just read this something data. And China offers a different pictures. Basically, its AI companies account for only 10% of global AI market, but they have capitalized while generating 16% of industry revenue. Means they have only 10% of global what we say. Global market, but they have 16% of revenue. It's a huge for China. And you can just see that the graph, that not graph, a bar chart, where is stacked bar chart here. This you can show that China is just in the front line in many of this. That's, for example, in energy China is 2, and USA is all at 4 0.5. And in chips, China's do not make chips, so it's 0. And you can just similarly you can just read the competition and AI infrastructure and all. So basically, credit make marketers are signaling concerns over this, and flow in 22 years shown in difficulties ahead. There can be difficulties ahead. So basically, it's a nasty phase for investors and for everyone who is investing in this AI. And also China's market like Moonshot AI, Kimi AI, K3, DeepSeek, Alibaba QB 3.8 Max. These are approaching performance of leading US models like ChatGPT, Gemini, and leading US models, and that assumptions US to believe they can charge premium prices to recover investment. But the Chinese models use 90% less, lower than comparable to US offerings. So it's very easy to use China AI model in terms of money. And that's the description of that. That's why this trade war is going on, and that's this James David Smellman has given his opinion on this nasty phase. Now moving towards the next phase. So next news is that first impressions count as Chinese buyer open their homes. So basically, a Chinese buyer, you can see they have opened their home when 39-year-old Beijing investor. There was a Beijing investor who has made a robot who is in their house for him, and it's China's first owners, a consumer humanoid. Basically, it's the first consumer humanoid, and the happiest part is often the waiting. The song said of is this basically a female version of UI Pro made by Shenzhen-based UBTech Robotics. This is made by UBTech Robotics, and you can just read it. Unlike industrial robots, for repetitive tasking control settings, household humanoids have been made. So basically, this humanoid have been made by UBTech, and it's a first for China. And if a machine could take care of household chores, the potential market would be enormous. Means if a machine can do the household work, so they can work also for the outside potential market. So it can be very beneficial for everyone. So that is what this news is saying. And also others were less convinced, but yeah, then 28-year-old buyer has convinced them, and they have just buyed it with that. And you can just see that in the video also. This UBTech robotics has been shown, and with AI capabilities, developing robots and all this, you can just see. And if you basically a line is given that if machine learning could take care of household chores, the potential market will be enormous. This is very important, that if a machine learning can they can done the household works very efficiently, then the potential market would be enormous for it to do the work and all. So that's the basically this is a trend to the early adoption of robotic vacuum cleaners. Basically this is a vacuum cleaner type thing and all. And I guess that's it. Yeah, so that was it for today's two news. So let's start with the thinking. What have we have developed the thinking about these two news? So on the first news, it was that what was the first news? AI boom. So they in the first news they were the opinion in which they tell about the difference between US and China trade war, how US is thinking differently, and how US is thinking about premium charges, and how China is thinking about very 90% less charges. So this was the thinking from the first news, what we learned. And the learnings of from second news was that if AI model if machine learning model has been using for household works, so it can be effectively and it can be good for potential market, could be enormous for that uses. So that was the two key learnings from this news and all. And that's all. That's the end for the today's episode. That is of, I think, I guess it's 64th episode of Beyond the Headlines. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing to ThinkHub for more news, AI, and learning content. I will see you in the next video lecture with some next news, with some more AI news and the Hindu paper news. Till then, keep learning and stay curious.